very unambiguously. This is one of the lenses which confirm the theory of relativity. The light actually passed through this lens, actually fell on this plate. This stuff is way cool. I mean, this is the heart. The stars that you see around the eclipsed sun here highlighted showed just the deflection predicted by relativity.
He nailed it. Einstein was so right.
It is a proud personal achievement for Campbell and a landmark moment for science.
The Lick party finally succeeds, gets extraordinarily good results, and resoundingly corroborates Eddington's 1919 results.
Now, who was the first person that Campbell sent a cable to with the results? Albert Einstein. He wanted Einstein to know, boy, did we vindicate you. Boy, did we show that Eddington was right, despite what all the scoffers were saying. For Einstein, this was a tremendous triumph.
The eclipse expedition gives us amazing proof of something that looks theoretical, and yet it's very much part of our lives.
They show that space-time around the sun was curving.
It was a whole new way of thinking about how gravity works.
How strange is that? That's completely against our intuition. But it's what the data shows, and you cannot argue with the data. Nature agrees. Yes, Einstein, that's a beautiful theory. You're right.
Finally, 15 years after he first proposed his radical general theory of relativity, upending more than 2 centuries of scientific thought, Einstein is victorious and vindicated. Almost.
The Nobel Committee rejected him in 1919 and in 1920 and in 1921 because no one accepted the theory of relativity.
Einstein had promised the money from the prize as part of his divorce to Mileva and his support for his 2 sons.
Mileva has resigned to the divorce, living with the boys in Zurich, waiting for the money from the Nobel Prize to come her way. She's actually relying on it.
Now, it's not until 1922 that they finally announced the Nobel Prize, and one of the ironies, he never gets it for the theory of relativity.
Instead, Einstein receives it for the first of his Miracle Year papers, which describes the photoelectric effect. This work becomes the foundation for quantum mechanics and unlocks the secrets of the atom. To Einstein's former wife, Mileva, the prize means something more down to earth.
She gets the money and she ends up buying 3 apartment buildings in Zurich.
Mileva did not make a very good living from these investments, but she survived.
For Einstein's cousin Elsa, who has nursed him through the bad times and waited patiently for years, there is also a victory of sorts.
She has convinced Einstein to marry her. Great surprise. It was a strange marriage. Einstein came in love afterwards, and he never felt that this was sort of, the perfect way of life for him.
But she loved being Mrs. Einstein. She loved traveling with her. She loved the prestige and the glory that came from being his wife.
As the world recovers from a horrific war, it embraces a man with the obscure occupation of theoretical physicist and turns him into a global icon.
Here you have the end of the most destructive war in European memory.
And here this pacifist saint comes along with a wild halo of hair, piercing eyes, and people on all sides of the Atlantic, in Germany and in England and America, could all celebrate him as a man of peace, but also somebody whose science transcended the horrors of war.
That's where the emotional resonance of his accomplishment came, I think. And that's why people seized on him, not just as a smart guy, but as a symbol, maybe an all-purpose symbol of what humanity can do well in the context of what humanity has clearly done so terribly.
His story, the solo scientist who turns the world upside down, is enticing. Alone in his studio, using only his mind and a pencil, Einstein made bizarre discoveries as intriguing to the public as the most talked about music and movies of the day.
They loved the mystery. Einstein himself said so. The fact that there was wonderful words of the fourth dimension, bending of space, time, works, all that kind of thing. It's great, light moves in ways you don't expect. These are kind of romantic ideas. These are, mind-bending ideas, and people picked up on them in all kinds of ways. And that is cool.
You could see in ways that no one else could. We put together elements of the universe that others had not imagined would fit together. General theory of relativity is one of the greatest achievements of the human mind.
If you think about it, the entire modern age, the age of laser beams, telecommunications, satellites, that age was opened up by the work of Albert Einstein. For example, black holes and neutron stars and the Big Bang itself. You cannot describe them adequately without Einstein's theory of general relativity.
It is beautiful and simple and profound. And all the best theories of the universe are just that.
Einstein dies in 1955 at the age of 76. But more than a half a century later, the man and his theories continue to capture the popular imagination and to inspire.
He was the man, because of the power of his intellect, the sheer power of his mind, was able to rise above poverty, rise above war and strife, become one of the great figures in all of human history. And that was an inspiration, because you don't have to be born handsome, you don't have to be born with muscles, you don't have to be born that way. You can achieve it by the sheer power of intellect. And for me, that's always been a shining beacon.